you motherfuckers will be playing basketball in Pelican Bay when I get finished with you. I'm the man up in this piece. King Kong ain't got shit on me.
I'm here to talk about success.
You know, people get up every day, they do the same thing, tell themselves they're going to change their life one day, and they never do. I'm going to change mine.
What would you do if you weren't afraid? I love thinking about that when I'm thinking about big life decisions. Like, what would I do if I weren't afraid? And it's usually like the big one, the bigger thing that I really want to do, but I'm afraid to do it. It's like, that's what I should do. Like, what would I do if I weren't afraid? And what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail?
Well, you should be afraid of taking risks and pursuing something meaningful. But you should be more afraid of staying where you are if it's making you miserable. It's like the first thing you want to do is dispense with the idea that you get to have any permanent security outside of your ability to contend and adapt. It's the same issue with children. It's like you're paying a price by sitting there being miserable. And you might say, well, the devil I know is better than the one I don't. It's like, don't be so sure of that. The clock is ticking. Yeah, and if you're miserable in your job now and you change nothing, in 5 years, you'll be much more miserable and you'll be a lot older.
How much more do you want from me?
More.
How much more successful do you want me to be?
More successful.
How many records can my records break?
More records. But are you a different animal and the same beast?
Control freak is a word people with low standards use to describe people with high standards. You're not a control freak. You just want it done right the first time. You're not anxious. You care. Do not expect mediocre people to support world-class goals.
And depression is your body saying, "F you, I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to hold up this avatar that you've created in the world. It's too much for me."
Disgust is a negative emotion, but it can have a very positive, powerful effect. Disgust says, "I've had it." What an important day that could be.
Being concerned about being seen as someone who has too high standards is something that for quite a while I felt ashamed about.
Yeah.
Because you feel like a bother. You feel like you're being unnecessarily, it's not even detail oriented, it's picky. And I realized, probably last year, it took me until last year to realize that not succumbing to stopping doing that is probably one of the only reasons why I've had any success.
So for anyone who's listening, if you have that, I would consider it a gift. It makes sense for the majority of people to be opposed to that because you do make more work for everyone else. People have to get involved, but there still needs to be one vision, and otherwise it looks like a Frankenstein where everyone just checks a box of something they did in the past, they just copy and paste it over, and then it doesn't resonate with anyone because, again, they just did it for everyone rather than for the artist. Play it out. What if you just never do anything? Maybe some people just need to stop dreaming. Maybe they need to accept their current reality and actually enjoy it. Because there's a lot of people when they're 70 and 80 and they didn't do their dreams, and if they went back, they didn't do anything, but that whole time they were dissatisfied because they didn't try. But what if they were just like, I have a good life. I have a wife who loves me. I've got some kids. I have a job that I don't mind it, pays the bills. I mean, if you go back 500 years, it wasn't people were like, man, this is my passion. It's like, dude, I'm just rowing a boat across a ferry, and that's what I do, and that's what my dad did and his dad did. This is how we eat. And so we have these idealized versions of purpose that I think Instagram and all this stuff kind of make terrible. But I think there's a lot of honor in work, period. And I think a lot of people fool themselves by thinking that what they do for some reason is not honorable.
One day, the beginning of a new career journey will commence. Today is not that day. If you see me in a fight with a bear, pray for the bear. I've always loved that quote. That's Mamba mentality. We don't quit, we don't cower, we don't run.
The more I listen to this, the better my life gets. If they don't have what you want, don't listen to what they say. There's no greater waste of time than justifying your actions to people who have a life you don't want.